think that getting into the IT field is impossible without a computer science degree, but Tech Coach Ralph is here to prove you wrong. Get ready for some jaw-dropping revelations on how to break into this lucrative industry. Listen up, tech enthusiasts! Are you ready to break through into the IT field, but feel like you need a computer science degree to make it happen? Think again! Tech Coach Ralph has some exclusive, mind-blowing secrets to share with you. Get ready to be blown away by his jaw-dropping revelations on how to break into the tech industry without a computer science degree. So get your notepad ready, because Tech Coach Ralph is going to change your life forever. Buckle up, because you're about to embark on a journey to success in the IT field.
Let's get it.
Good morning, good morning, good morning. I just noticed my lighting isn't right. Give me a second. Let me fix my lighting.
Money.
Much, much better. Good morning, good morning, good morning. This is what is the name of the show? Your car, what's the name of the show? This is the Men Lie, Women Lie, Numbers Manipulate. We are going to get into our weekly economic numbers reviews, see how the market is going, all of that good stuff. If you don't know who I am your host of the show and of the channel. I am Tech Coach Ralph. We are engineered to win. So let me say a big shout out and thank you to Peter Investor in the building already with the $5 super chat. I appreciate you.
I appreciate you.
And we got your car up bright and early. Is it even bright where you're at right now, your car? It's 6:37 for you. Is the sun even out? Is the sun even out? But your car was trying to rally the troops, saying, where is everybody? Come on, let's get to work. Shout out to your car as always. And we got Alexis G in the building. Hey, Alexis. And I'll tell you a story in a little bit about why I pushed the show back a little bit. Because I'll get to it, right? But how is everyone doing today? Let me know how you're doing. How is it going on? How was your week? It was a long week. It was a long week of gaslighting, lying, and crazy economic information. So, where's that book? I have to get this book. Hold on, give me 1 second to get this book. All right, we're back. So I just wanted to read a little, because we're hearing about all this price control, or quote unquote preventing price gouging or gauging. Some may say gauging, whatever the case may be. So I just wanted to read a little excerpt from this book called We the Living by Ayn Rand. And it goes a little like this. Let me see if I can find it real quick. It goes a little something. This is one excerpt, right? One excerpt. It says, Maria Petronova's hands fluttered fluttered up eloquently. These are hard times. God have pity on us. These are hard times, Galina. Do you remember Lily Savinskiska? I don't know. This is a Russian name, right? The one who never wore any jewelry except pearls. Well, she's dead. She died in 1919. It was like this. They had nothing to eat for days, and her husband was walking in the street, and he saw a horse that fell and died of hunger, and there was a mob fighting for the body. They tore it to pieces, and he got some. When he brought it home and they cooked it, they and ate. I suppose the horse hadn't died of hunger only, for they both got terribly sick. The doctor saved him, but Lily died. He lost everything in 1918. Of course, his sugar business, it was nationalized the same day when our first store, and then, yeah. So when we start hearing, and I might have some more as we go through, but when we start hearing about these quote unquote policies, and this book is a novel, but it's based on reality, so when we start hearing about this stuff, we gotta be more careful, and we're going to, there's a video that we're going to review, right? We're going to watch together and talk about it, where our favorite senator in the whole entire world, Senator Elizabeth Warren, was on Squawk Box. So we'll take a look at that as well. All right. So let's get to it. Let me just highlight my guy, Peter Investor, in the building. Thank you so much, Peter Investor. Always appreciate you. All right. So let's get to it. So let's go to, we're going to start off with let me go over here, and we're going to go to, let's see. Yakar says, read The Modest Proposal. Is that a book, Yakar? Let me see. Let me look it up. Let me see. What is The Modest Proposal? The Modest Proposal. And that would be, is it A Modest Proposal? Let me see. Let me get Amazon. Let me see what that is. A Modest Proposal by Jonathan Swift. Okay. We'll take a look at that. Let me add that to the book list. All right, cool. Got it in my cart. All right, cool. So let's get to it. All right. Let's go over to our news. All right. So, let's go. So we have let's go here. Oh, yeah. All right. So, that's not the one I was looking for. Is that the one? Okay, that is one. All right. So, the weekly numbers to review. So all eyes turn on Powell's speech. So, Fed Chair Jerome Powell takes, so we read this on Monday, says Fed Chair Jerome Powell takes center stage this week at the annual gathering of global central bankers in Jackson Hole, Wyoming. He will give the keynote speech at the Economic Policy Symposium on Friday. While not expected to tip his hand on when the Fed might finally pivot to lowering interest rates, for the first time in 4 years, Powell is likely to address the bank's dual mandate of achieving price stability and full employment. By the way, what is considered to be full employment? What's full? What's quote unquote full employment? So Powell, all right, the latter has taken on more urgency since the unemployment rate rose for the fourth straight month in July. So in July, it went up to 4.3. However, I'm still hearing that we have the lowest unemployment rates in history. But I thought at one point we were like at 3.6, but I could be wrong, right? So what are we going to be looking at, right? So Wednesday, we're going to look at the minutes. The Federal Open Market Committee will release the minutes of the committee's last policy setting meeting, which could provide clues on when the Fed's where the Fed stands on current monetary policy and future interest rates. Thursday, August 22nd, the U.S. Department of Labor will release initial jobless claims for the previous week. So we're definitely going to check that one, see how that's going. The National Association of Realtors will release its monthly report measuring the number of existing homes sold in July. Central bankers from around the world convene for the Federal Reserve's Jackson Hole Economic Policy Symposium. And then on Friday, yesterday, the Fed Chair Jerome Powell gave the keynote address at the symposium, which ends on Saturday. It's ending today. And lastly, the U.S. Census Bureau will release key housing market indicators, including the number of new single homes families sold and the number of new building permits issued by the government. So those are the things that we're going to be looking into, right? But before we even look into that, right? Before we even look into that, let me share. So I'm going to bring myself to the front of the congregation. Right. So this is why we started a little bit late, right? I was, so in the coaching group, I was trying to figure out why the Docker command wouldn't start up the application, right? So I had I don't know, it was like I spent an hour. It's spent like over an hour, maybe about an hour and 15 minutes trying to figure this thing out. And it all turns out I just overlooked reading the command, where I hate when you say like a not command, because you can always read it backwards. So instead of saying if this environment equals that, I said if this environment does not equal this, and then that's exactly what it equaled. And so it's something that could be resolved in like 15 minutes, but took an hour and 15 minutes because of poor documentation on my end and not properly reading the code on my end as well. So you always got to be careful. You always got to be careful. But that's why we pushed it back, because I had to get this thing working so that my tech barbarians could be off to the races. So let's start off with the Fed chair, right? Let's start off with the Fed chair. Let me see if I can find the video for that. Let me see. Let's go to Jerome. Is it this one? Let me see. That's a long video. Let me see. Let's see if we can find one that doesn't take forever. I guess I'll go with this one. Let's go with this one. And your car says a classic problem. Oh, I always forget what this stands for. Between the problem exists between the keyboard and the chair. That was definitely true in this case. All right, so let's pull up this video. All right, let me go, and we're gonna watch the video together. And I'm gonna put it at like maybe 1.5 speed so we can zoom through it a little bit. Let's go to preview. All right, so let's get into this video, and then we will, we'll go from there. It's better to hear it straight from the horse's mouth himself. All right, let me see where it starts. Do we care about what she's saying? There you go. Let's go here.
Thank you, Karen, and thanks to our host from the Kansas City Fed. It's great to be back here today. 4.5 years after COVID-19's arrival, The worst of the pandemic-related economic distortions are fading. Inflation has declined significantly. The labor market is no longer overheated, and conditions are now less tight than those that prevailed before the pandemic. Supply constraints have normalized, and the balance of risks to our two mandates has changed. Our objective has been to restore price stability while maintaining a strong labor market, avoiding the sharp increases in unemployment that characterized earlier disinflationary episodes when inflation expectations were less well anchored. While the task is not complete, we have made a good deal of progress toward that outcome. Today, I will begin by addressing the current economic situation and the path ahead for monetary policy. I will then turn to a discussion of economic events since the pandemic arrived, exploring why inflation rose to levels not seen in a generation and why it has fallen so much while unemployment has remained low. So let's begin with the current situation and the near-term outlook for policy. For much of the past 3 years, inflation ran well above our 2% goal, and labor market conditions were extremely tight. The FOMC's primary focus has been on bringing down inflation, and appropriately so. Prior to this episode, most Americans alive today had not experienced the pain of high inflation for a sustained period. Inflation brought substantial hardship, especially for those least able to meet the higher costs of essentials, like food, housing, and transportation. High inflation triggered stress and a sense of unfairness that linger today. Our restrictive monetary policy helped restore balance between aggregate supply and demand, easing inflationary pressures and ensuring that inflation expectations remained well anchored. Inflation is now much closer to our objective, with prices having risen 2.5% over the past 12 months. After a pause earlier this year, progress toward our 2% objective has resumed. My confidence has grown that inflation is on a sustainable path back to 2%. Turning to employment. In the years just prior to the pandemic, we saw the significant benefits to society that can come from a long period of strong labor market conditions. Low unemployment, high participation, historically low racial employment gaps, and with inflation low and stable, healthy real wage gains that were increasingly concentrated among those with lower incomes. Today, the labor market has cooled considerably from its formerly overheated state. The unemployment rate began to rise over a year ago and is now at 4.3%. Still low by historical standards, but almost a full percentage point above its level in early 2023. Most of that increase has come over the past 6 months. So far, rising unemployment has not been the result of elevated layoffs, as is typically the case in an economic downturn. Rather, the increase mainly reflects a substantial increase in the supply of workers and a slowdown from the previously frantic pace of hiring. Even so, the cooling in labor market.
What did he just say? All right, let me back up a little bit. So he said that hold on. I might have missed it. Hold on. Let me see something.
The conditions. Today, the labor market has cooled considerably from its formerly overheated state. The unemployment rate began to rise over a year ago and is now at 4.3%. Still low by historical standards, but almost a full percentage point above its level in early 2023. Most of that increase has come over the past 6 months. So far, rising unemployment has not been the result of elevated layoffs, as is typically the case in an economic downturn. Rather, the increase mainly reflects a substantial increase in the supply of workers and a slowdown from the previously frantic pace of hiring.
All right, so the unemployment rate didn't go up because of layoffs or elevated layoffs, but instead because of the supply of workers? Wait, what? All right, your car, Peter Investor. Am I missing something here? Like, what? Can you guys explain to me what he's saying here? Where that's kind of like what I heard, your car. That's what I feel like I heard. But that's what I feel like I heard. Because I was like I'm like, wait, what? All right, well, because if there's an increase of workers, where do these workers come from? Like, if people are not being laid off, but there's an increase in workers, I don't know. I'm a little confused. All right.
Even so, the cooling in labor market conditions is unmistakable. Job gains remain solid, but have slowed this year. Job vacancies have fallen, and the ratio of vacancies to unemployment has returned to its pre-pandemic range. The hiring and quits rates are now below the levels that prevailed in 2018 and 19. Nominal wage gains have moderated, and all told, labor market conditions are now less tight than just before the pandemic in 2019, a year when inflation ran below 2%. It seems unlikely that the labor market will be a source of elevated inflationary pressures anytime soon. We do not seek or welcome further cooling in labor market conditions. Overall, the economy continues to grow at a solid pace, but the inflation and labor market data show an evolving situation. The upside risks to inflation have diminished, and the downside risks to employment have increased. As we highlighted in our last FOMC.
So here's maybe like, I don't know, maybe I don't get it, right? The economy is, you know, the best that it's ever been. It's booming, all that good stuff, right? But why is it that everything is everything more expensive because the economy is doing so well? Why is the number one concern for people the economy? Like, it's because everything is more expensive. Eggs, I mean, down here gas isn't too bad right now, but it's not at $1 something. But eggs are more expensive. Sardines are more. Like, I don't know. Just when I'm going to the store, like, I don't go to the store much, but I see things that are more expensive. So I'm like, where is this thing? Like, I guess I'm trying to understand where the disconnect is between the people who are speaking at podiums, saying that everything is on the up and up, everything is looking great, and the people who are actually out there on a day-to-day basis, who are working and stuff like that, who's saying that they're suffering. I'm trying to figure out where the disconnect is happening between the two sides, right? You understand what I'm asking, Peter Investor? You understand what I'm asking your car? Rod, well, shout out to Rod Brown. I didn't even say hi. But you understand what I'm asking? Like, where is that disconnect happening where the people in the suits standing in front of you at podium saying the economy is doing great, and the people who are actually working on a day-to-day basis with families and stuff like that who are saying that they're suffering? So I guess I'm missing the disconnect between the two. But let's keep watching. Let me see what your car says. Says your car had said more cheap labor, and he says he said the hiring was overheated. What does that even mean? I have no idea. Like, I guess they cooked it. I don't know. But wait. We did just get the report that, why is this all off the screen? What's in the world is going on over here? There we go. But yeah, he said that, remember, we just got the report that 818,000 jobs actually never were created or existed. So there's that too. Let me see. Peter Investor said it's based on how they report unemployed people. People who are seeking a job can be grouped as unemployed. Okay, I got you. All right, let's keep going.
Statement: we are attentive to the risks to both sides of our dual mandate. The time has come for policy to adjust. The direction of travel is clear, and the timing and pace of rate cuts will depend on incoming data, the evolving outlook, and the balance of risks. We will do everything we can to support a strong labor market as we make further progress toward price stability. With an appropriate dialing back of policy restraint, there is good reason to think that the economy will get back to 2% inflation while maintaining a strong labor market. The current level of our policy rate gives us ample room to respond to any risks we may face, including the risk of unwelcome further weakening in labor market conditions. So let's now turn to the questions of why inflation rose and why it has fallen so significantly even as unemployment has remained low. There's a growing body of research on these questions, including Gowdy Eggerson's work, which we'll shortly discuss, and this is a good time for this discussion. It is, of course, too soon to make definitive assessments. This period will be analyzed and debated long after we are all gone. The arrival of the COVID-19 pandemic led quickly to shutdowns in economies around the world. It was a time of radical uncertainty and severe downside risks. As so often happens in times of crisis, Americans adapted and innovated. Governments responded with extraordinary force, especially in the United States. Congress unanimously passed the CARES Act. At the Fed, we used our powers to an unprecedented extent to stabilize the financial system and help stave off an economic depression. After a historically deep but brief recession in mid-2020, the economy began to grow again. And as the risks of a severe extended downturn receded, and as the economy reopened, we faced the risk of replaying the painfully slow recovery that followed the global financial crisis. Congress delivered substantial additional fiscal support in late 2020 and again in early 2021. Spending recovered strongly in the first half of 2021, and the ongoing pandemic shaped the pattern of the recovery. Lingering concerns over COVID weighed on spending on in-person services, but pent-up demand, stimulative policies, pandemic changes in work and leisure practices, and the additional savings associated with constrained services spending all contributed to a historic surge in consumer spending on goods. The pandemic also wreaked havoc on supply conditions. 8 million people left the workforce at its onset, and the size of the labor force was still 4 million below its pre-pandemic level in early 2021. The labor force would not return to its pre-pandemic trend until mid-2023. Supply chains were snarled by a combination of lost workers, disrupted international trade linkages, and tectonic shifts in the composition and level of demand. Clearly, this was nothing like the slow recovery after the global financial crisis. Enter inflation. After running below target through 2020, inflation spiked in March and April 2021. The initial burst of inflation was concentrated rather than broad-based, with extremely large price increases for goods in short supply, such as motor vehicles. My colleagues and I judged at the outset that these pandemic-related factors would not be persistent, and thus that the sudden rise in inflation was likely to pass through fairly quickly without the need for a monetary policy response. In short, that the inflation would be transitory. Standard thinking has long been that, as long as inflation expectations remain well anchored, it can be appropriate for central banks to look through a temporary rise in inflation. The good ship transitory was a crowded one. With most mainstream analysts and advanced economy central bankers on board, I think I see some former shipmates out there today. The common expectation was that supply conditions would improve reasonably quickly, that the rapid recovery in demand would run its course, and that demand would rotate back from goods to services, bringing inflation down. For a time, the data were consistent with the transitory hypothesis. Monthly readings for core inflation declined every month from April through September 2021, although progress came slower than expected. The case began to weaken around mid-year, as was reflected in our communications. And beginning in October, the data turned hard against the transitory hypothesis. Inflation rose and broadened out from goods to.
I'm gonna be honest with you. Listening to him speak, it's I feel like the crowd when they were in Billy Madison after Adam Sandler gave the story about the Industrial Revolution. And I feel like he's going to say at the end of this speech that Jackson Hole rules, and then the crowd is going to go wild and like all that stuff, because talking about some transitionary hypothesis and like, what? Like, just what's is anyone going to like, all right, here's a question. Your card, Peter, investor, Rod Brown, Alexis. When they ask you, is this gaslighting? The Inflation Reduction Act, right? The name is Inflation Reduction, but apparently that skyrockets inflation. Make that make sense. All right, let's keep reading. Let me read what Peter Investor said first, right? It says, your current circumstances will always outweigh any forward future great outcome. This is the concept known as the power of now. People feel bad, feel a bad economy rather than a bright future. Okay, good point. And your car is making his weekly claim of down with the Federal Reserve. That's your car and Mitch's arch nemesis right there, the Federal Reserve. All right, so let's see. Your car says, so I'll ask you, would you rather be brainwashed or gaslit? That's after this week, your car, I don't know. That's a tough question. Remember, I was like, We might have to revisit this question. It's it's like living in an alternate universe, So that's a tough one. I'm starting to lean with Mitch towards the side of the brainwash part, because the gaslighting, oh my God, it will really make you feel like you're the crazy one. I'm just saying. Anyway, let's wrap this one up. Let's keep going.
The services, and it became clear that high inflation was not transitory and that it would require a strong response if inflation expectations were to remain well anchored. We recognized that and pivoted beginning in November. Financial conditions began to tighten, and after phasing out our asset purchases, we lifted off in March of 2022. By early 2022, headline inflation exceeded 6% and core was above 5%. New supply shocks appeared. Russia's invasion of Ukraine led to a sharp increase in energy and commodity prices. The improvements in supply conditions and the rotation in demand from goods to services were taking much longer than expected, in part due to further COVID waves in the United States. And COVID continued to disrupt production globally, including through new and extended lockdowns in China. High rates of inflation were a global phenomenon reflecting common experiences: rapid increases in the demand for goods, strained supply chains, tight labor markets, and sharp hikes in commodity prices. The global nature of inflation was unlike any period since the 1970s. Back then, high inflation became entrenched, an outcome we were utterly committed to avoiding. By mid-2022, the labor market was extremely tight, with employment increasing by 6.5 million jobs from the middle of 2021. This increase in labor demand was met in part by workers rejoining the labor force as health concerns began to fade, but labor supply remained constrained, and in the summer of 2022, labor force participation remained well below pre-pandemic levels. There were nearly twice as many job openings as unemployed persons from March 2022 through the end of the year, signaling a severe labor shortage, and inflation peaked at 7.1% in June 2022.
Wait. So, are you telling me that pre-pandemic, the labor market was like booming, right? Like people had jobs like crazy, right? And then post-pandemic, that the labor participation was a lot lower than it was pre-pandemic. However, I thought I could be wrong. I could be wrong here, right? Your car, Peter, investor, Rod Brown. Weren't we told something about the most jobs created in the past 3.5 years? Am I mistaken about that? The most jobs created in the but if that's the case, why is unemployment rising? And why is inflation being blamed if the most jobs were created? Or are we taking in more people than there are quote unquote jobs? Interesting question. Just I'm just questioning. Your car said Rod Brown said it's not just gaslighting, it's all the lighting. And your car says the labor shortage times out perfectly with the certain amount of people arriving. All right. And then it says, then they brought he goes here to fill in those trash jobs, and the labor participation somehow bounced back. Interesting. This is so evil. All right, let's go to you see. All right. I see a common thread here. Okay, let's keep going.
22. At this podium 2 years ago, I discussed the possibility that addressing inflation could bring some pain in the form of higher unemployment and slower growth. Some argued that getting inflation under control would require a recession and a lengthy period of high unemployment, and I expressed our unconditional commitment to fully restoring price stability and to keeping at it until the job is done. The FOMC did not flinch from carrying out our responsibilities, and our actions forcefully demonstrated our commitment to restoring price stability. We raised our policy rate by 425 basis points in 2022 and another 100 basis points in 2023, and we've held our policy rate at its current restrictive level since July 2023. The summer of 2022 proved to be the peak of inflation. The 4.5 percentage point decline in inflation from its peak 2 years ago has occurred in a context of low unemployment, a welcome an historically unusual result. So, how did inflation fall without a sharp rise in unemployment above its estimated natural rate? Pandemic-related distortions to supply and demand, as well as severe shocks to energy and commodity markets, were important drivers of high inflation, and their reversal has been a key part of the story of its decline. The unwinding of these factors took much longer than expected, but ultimately played a large role in the subsequent disinflation. Our restrictive monetary policy contributed to a moderation in aggregate demand, which combined with improvements in aggregate supply to reduce inflationary pressures, while allowing growth to continue at a healthy pace. As labor demand also moderated, the historically high level of vacancies relative to unemployment has normalized primarily through a decline in vacancies, without sizable and disruptive layoffs, bringing the labor market to a state where it is no longer a source of inflationary pressures. A word on the critical importance of inflation expectations. Standard economic models have long reflected the view that inflation will return to its objective when product and labor markets are balanced, without the need for economic slack, so long as inflation expectations are anchored at our objective. That's what the model said. But the stability of longer-run inflation expectations since the 2000s had not been tested by a persistent burst of high inflation. It was far from assured that the inflation anchor would hold. Concerns over de-anchoring contributed to the view that disinflation would require slack in the economy and specifically in the labor market. An important takeaway from recent experience is that anchored inflation expectations, reinforced by vigorous central bank actions, can facilitate disinflation without the need for slack. This narrative attributes much of the increase in inflation to an extraordinary collision between overheated and temporarily distorted demand and constrained supply. While researchers differ in their approaches and to some extent in their conclusions, a consensus seems to be emerging, which I see as attributing most of the rise in inflation to this collision. All told, the healing from pandemic distortions, our efforts to moderate aggregate demand, and the anchoring of expectations have worked together to put inflation on what increasingly appears to be a sustainable path to our 2% objective. Disinflation while preserving labor market strength is only possible with anchored inflation expectations, which reflect the public's confidence that the central bank will bring about 2% inflation over time. That confidence has been built over decades and reinforced by our actions. That is my assessment of events. Your mileage may differ. So let me wrap up by emphasizing that the pandemic economy has proved to be unlike any other, and that there remains much to be learned from this extraordinary period. Our statement on longer-run goals and monetary policy strategy emphasizes our commitment to reviewing our principles and making appropriate adjustments through a thorough public review every 5 years. As we begin this process later this year, we will be open to criticism and new ideas while preserving the strengths of our framework. The limits of our knowledge, so clearly evident during the pandemic, demand humility and a questioning spirit focused on learning lessons from the past and applying them flexibly to our current challenges. Thank you.
Well, there you have it. That was the Fed Chair Jerome Powell. We got Mitch in the building. So let me see. So let's go with starting off with Peter Investor says, in order to understand the Fed's work, you have to understand Keynesian economics and quantitative easing. We will look into that at some point. And Mitch in the building says, it's dry in here. I keep sitting back listening to all this outlandish. All right, so let's see. Your card's like, where you been, Mitch? Where you been? And Peter Investor says, Keynesian economics, fiscal policy that increases government spending. Not good, not good. And Mitch says that he's been here, sitting back watching all your trash, dry comments. Why so harsh? Why so harsh? Why so harsh? And Peter Investor says quantitative easing, monetary policy that injects liquidity in the market by the central banks. So, by the way, we have an announcement to make. We got an announcement to make. We must be doing something right because this video just got a dislike.
I appreciate you.
Thank you. I appreciate for watching. I appreciate you for watching. All right. So I do want to just read the minutes real quick that they were pretty much the minutes from these meetings, because he said a lot of words, transitory inflation and stuff like that. Kind of like a transitionary president, I guess, which they transitioned by, kicking him out. So that's some type of transition. I mean, it is a transition, right? If they say, like, think about this. If I say I'm transitioning cars, right? Like I'm, this is a transitionary car, and then in order to transition to another car, I just have to burn it down, right? Like that's, I guess in a way it's transitionary, but whatever. Let's get to this. Let's read this real quick, and then we'll go to the comments and stuff like that. So we are here. All right. So this was January 31st. What in the world? It's not the right one. Why? That's not the right one. Let me see. January 31st. Let's go here. Um, August 21st. Where is it? Where are the minutes? Where are my minutes? Let's go here. Ah, okay. I clicked on the wrong one. All right, hold on. This is all right. There we go. Released August. All right, cool. There we go. So, why is this? Come on. Why do you have? All right, let me try PDF. Let's try. I guess we'll do that. All right, so let's read this. Let me zoom in a bit. It's so stupid. Let me see. Let's go. Why does the screen look like this? All right, give me a second. Gotta do some manipulating here. What do we got? Okay. I guess we'll do it that way. All right. So minutes of the Federal Open Market Committee. Let me move this over to this one. All right. So a joint meeting of the Federal Open Market Committee and the Board of Governors of the Federal Reserve System was held in the offices of the Board of Governors on Tuesday, July 30th, 2024. So this was held like almost a month ago or a little less than a month ago. And now they're releasing the minutes. Jeez. What have you been doing for the past 3 weeks, right? So development in financial markets and open markets operations. The manager turned to a review to review the developments of the financial markets. Financial conditions eased modestly over the intermeeting period, reflecting low long-term interest rates and higher equity prices. The manager noted that current financial conditions appeared to be providing neither headwind nor tailwind to growth. Nominal treasury yields declined over the period, with shorter term yields having decreased by more than the longer term yields, leading to a steepening of the yield curve. Treasury yields remain a sensitive surprise to economic data, particularly consumer price indexes, releases, and employment records. While near-term inflation and compensation fell over the intermeeting period, longer term forward measures were little changed. Measures of inflation expectations obtained from the term structure model were modestly lower. The policy rate path derived from futures prices and modal paths derived from options both declined over the intermeeting period and had come into closer alignment with the median of the oh my God, like what? All right, so I'm not reading this whole thing. Like, give me a second here. Give me a second. Let's see if I can. We're gonna do this because last time I remember these notes were like so much shorter. Why is this so long? Um. So let's go to. What we're gonna do. I want to. So let's read this, right? So effective August 1st, the Federal Open Market Committee directs the desk to undertake open market operations as necessary to maintain a federal fund rate in the target range of 5.25 to 5.5%. Conduct standing overnight repurchase agreement operations with a minimum bid rate of 5.5% and with the aggregate options limit of 500 billion. Conduct standing overnight repurchase agreement operations at the offering rate of 5.3%. So let's put, I'm going to put chat GPT to the test, right? So let me go here, chat GPT. And can you make this easy to understand? And then go here. Let me see if I can, if this is going to work, right? So let me see here. If we go to here, let me see what I have on the screen. So I just said to ChatGPT, can you make this easy to understand? So ChatGPT summarized, right? The Federal Open Market Committee, the FOMC, minutes from July 31st, 2024, revealed that the Fed is concerned about inflation, which is still above their 2% target. They discussed the economic outlook, noting mixed signals, strong consumer spending and job growth, but signs of slowing in the sector like housing. They decided to keep interest rates steady for now, but indicated they might raise rates in the future if inflation remains high. The overall tone suggests caution with a focus on data-driven decisions. Cool. All right. They're not making it easy to understand. And you know, I think there's a reason that they do that, right? They make it hard to understand so that people can like just bypass it. But we're gonna get to the bottom of it, right? Because we have Peter Investor, we have your car, we have Mitch in the building, right? But let's go back to this, right? So let's go to break. Not a break, but let's go to full screen. So, wow, Mitch came with the fire today. So I'm gonna read another short little passage from this book, right? So far in the book, right? So what's happening in this book is the proletariat, I think that's what they call them. They take over, and now it's like the quote unquote for the people are the ruling class, and now all of the, they call the bourgeoisie. They pretty much take all their stuff and they take their businesses, their homes and stuff like that, right? So, and they had to like leave wherever they thought they were leaving for a year. They ended up being gone from the city that they were from for like 5 years. They come back. The house that they lived in was given to I think it was a plumber or something like that. And now they were living with a relative, and then they finally was able to get their own place, a 1-bedroom. So they had a nice house, a nice business. They ended up finding like a 1-bedroom apartment to rent. And so I'm going to read from there, right? So after they find this apartment, right, it says they needed furniture. Bravely, Galina Petronova paid a visit to the gray granite mansion on the street that they lived on. So that's what the house they used to have. It was a gray granite mansion, right? Before the stately edifice rising to the sky, she stood for a few minutes, gathering her faded coat with the shedding fur collar tightly around her thin body. Then she opened her bag and powdered her nose. She felt ashamed before the gray slabs of granite. Then she did not close her bag, but took out her handkerchief. Tears were painful in the cold wind. Then she rang the bell. Well, your citizen Argonova. That said the fat, glossy-cheeked sign. It was a sign painter, who let her in and listened patiently to her explanation. And he said, "Sure, you can have your old junk back, that which I don't use. It's in the coach house. Take it. We're not so hard-hearted. We know it's tough for all you citizen bourgeoisies." So Galina Petronova threw the wistful glance at her old Venetian mirror, whose onyx stands bore a bucket of paint. But she did not argue and went down to the coach house in the backyard. She found a few chairs missing legs, a few priceless pieces of antique porcelain, a washstand, a rusty samovar, 2 beds, an old chest of clothes, and Lydia's grand piano, all buried under a pile of books from their library, old boxes, wood shavings, and rat dung. So imagine that. Imagine that, right? You worked all your life, right? All your life you had to fight. And then everything that you own is taken away from you, given to somebody else. And now you find a way to get your own place, tiny little place compared to what you used to have. And now you have to go and ask the people who technically stole your stuff if you can have some of your stuff back that they're not using. And they're like, I'm not so hard-hearted. Yeah, you can have some of your junk back. Like, anyways, craziness. Let's get into the jobless claims for the week. All right. So, let's see. It was actually pretty accurate. All right, so let's go to here. It's not that. Let me see. So what this jobless claims report is, the pretty much people who were laid off, they're applying for help for the first time. So let's take a look at that. So in the week ending of August 17th, let me zoom in a little bit. Let's see. In the week ending of August 17th, the advanced figures for seasonally adjusted initial claims were 232,000, an increase of 4,000 from the previous week's revised levels. So it went up, right? But they were expecting it to go up. The previous week's revised levels were revised up by 1,000 from 227,000 to 228,000. The 4-week moving average was 236,000, a decrease of 750 from the previous week's revised average. The previous week's average was revised up by 250 from 236,500 to 236,750. And the insured unemployment rate was 1.2%. The advanced number seasonally adjusted insured unemployment during the week ending of August 10th was 1,863,000, an increase of 4,000. Let's see. And I'm just gonna go down to the bottom because there's some other stuff we want to touch on. Let's take a look at this part. The highest insured unemployment rates in the week ending of August 7th were New Jersey. Shout out to New Jersey as always. Always in the way. New Jersey at 2.8%, Puerto Rico at 2.6%, Rhode Island at 2.6%, California at 2.2%, Minnesota at 2%, Pennsylvania at 1.9%, Connecticut at 1.8%, Massachusetts at 1.7%, followed by Nevada, New York, and Washington also at 1.7%. And then the largest increase in initial claims for the week ending August 10th were Georgia, 693, Michigan at 584, Virginia at 357, New Jersey, 339, Kansas, 233. The largest decreases were in California, Texas, Massachusetts, Pennsylvania, and Iowa. All right, so let's go to, let me see. Let's go to the chat, and then we'll go to, let me see what we have next on this. Let me see what we have next. We have next, so we did this one. So let's say this one is checked off. Let's put the highlight of yellow for done. We did let me see. Let's say this is done. Let's say this is done. So we have the U.S. Census Bureau and we have the National Association of Realtors, and then we wanna get checking with our with our good old, Mitch's favorite senator, Elizabeth Warren. All right, so we'll see what she thinks about price gauging. So, but let's go to the chat first. Do me a favor, if you haven't done so already, like the video or dislike the video like this one other person did. Really, if you disliked, I hope you also subscribe, right? I hope you also subscribe. Do me that favor at least, right? But or do like the video or dislike, whatever, I don't care. Subscribe to the channel, hit the notification bell, check out techcoachralph.dev, get access to exclusive content that is not here on YouTube. All right, so let me see what we got in here. Let me see what we got in here because it looks like some people are arguing. So Mitch says, that's another thing. I was here like I said, saw Rob doing his book club paragraph earlier, chump. Whoa. All right. So Robert says, don't hate. Yeah. See, thank you. See, thank you. Finally somebody standing up. Mitch is like, who are you? I'm confused. I'd rather have Tech Daddy. Oh my goodness. Like your car said earlier, never ever calling you that. Oh my goodness. Let me see. No, I think one was retracted. Let me see. Alexa says, when you don't work for it, you don't value it. Exactly. That is totally true. Peter Investor says, when the Feds increase rate, it prevents people from spending money and sticking to their budget. That saves money in the bank. I don't know, Peter Investor, because I still see people going to, I see people still getting flued out and stuff like that. I don't know. Mitch says he agrees to disagree. Why not disagree to agree? Why do people always agree to disagree? How come we never disagree to agree? Anybody ever thought of that? But Peter Investor's like, substantiate your argument with an example. Maybe I did not write my answer properly. Oh, Mitch, he says, prove it, Mitch. Prove it, Mitch. Can you prove it, Mitch? Can you prove it? Or are you full of call Mitch out. Call Mitch out. I did. Oh, damn. Darn it. I take it back. I did not say it. I did not say anything. Prove it, Mitch. Prove it. You're terrible, Mitch. You are terrible. All right. We got Me Massify in the building. Says, good morning, Tech, your car, Mitch, and the chat. Good morning, Me Massify. How are you doing this fine Saturday morning? So, did somebody say hands? Did somebody say hands? Your car says somebody about to catch these hands. Wait, what? I'm not gonna do it. It's too early. It's too early. It's too early. I'm not doing it. And Mitch says, I can prove it, but I'm not doing it today. Sure you can, Mitch. Sure you can. We know you can. We wink. Come on, Peter Investor. Wink. Just drop the wink emojis in the chat. Drop the wink emojis in the chat. All right, let's get to our next one in the building. So, so we did the jobless claims. Let's go over the existing service PMI. That wasn't on my list. Yeah, let's go over the existing home sales. So let's go to, let me pull it up and then I'll pull up the page. So it actually grew. So let's look at, see, hopefully it shows correctly. Let me make this. I don't like this. Let me see what the other screen looks like. Hold on, let me see. All right, there we go. Let's look at that. So, actual home sales, 3.95 million. The previous was 3.9. The forecast was 3.94. So let's take a look at that. All right, so you guys are so silly. You guys are so silly. All right. Anyways, Alexis, what's wrong? Alexis, do me a favor. Like the voice of reason, right? What's wrong with these people? Alex, what is wrong with these people? I am so lost.
They ain't believing us.
Help me out, Alexis. Help me out. What's wrong with these people? All right. So let's do this. All right. So, all right. Existing home sales. It says latest news in July 2024, existing home sales improved, breaking a streak of 4 months of 4 consecutive monthly declines. 3 out of the 4 U.S. regions registered sales increases, while the Midwest remained steady. Year over year, sales rose in the Northeast and West, but retreated in the Mid-South. Despite the modest gains, home sales are still sluggish, and the NAR chief economist Lawrence Yu said. NAR National Associated Realtors chief economist Lawrence Yun, but consumers are definitely seeing more choices, and affordability is improving due to lower interest rates. But they're still high though. What are the current? Let me see. Current home interest rates. The 30-year fixed mortgage at a 20% down payment in Florida for a 700 to a 719 credit score is 7.1%. And the 15-year is 6.14, and the 10, oh my God, like 10 to 6 adjustable rate is 7.44. Whew, that's crazy. That's crazy. Let me see. Let's go to California. 712. Let's go to New Jersey. 7. Colorado. 7. So I mean, it's hard for me to see these interest rates knowing what I got my place for. And like, oh, I'm gonna buy a house in these conditions. But people do it though. People do it. So 3 out of the 4 major regions. All right, so we read that. The full news release. Existing home sales data measures and prices are single home for the nation overall, and gives breakdown for the Midwest, the West, the Midwest, the South, the Northeast regions of the country. Let's see. Do I want to? Let's go to, let me see what this one is. So key highlights, right? Existing home sales grew 1.3% in July to a seasonally adjusted annual rate of 3.95 million, stopping a 4-month decline. We read that. However, sales slipped 2.5% from 1 year ago. The median existing home sales price elevated 4.2% from July 2023 to $422,600, the 13th consecutive month of year-over-year price gains. The inventory of unsold existing homes edged higher by 0.8% from the prior month of 1.33 million at the end of July, or the equivalent of 4 months supply at the current monthly sales pace. Let's skim through this. Let's see. Anything stands out? The Realtor Confidence Index. According to the monthly Realtors Confidence Index, properties typically remain on the market for 24 days in July, up from 22 days in June and 20 days in July 2023. So that means that houses are staying on the market a little bit longer. First-time buyers are responsible for 29% of sales in July, identical to the June, but down 30% of July 2023, so down 1%. Let me see. Found that the annual share of first-time buyers was 32%. All cash sales accounted for 27% of transactions in July, down from the 28% in June, but up from 26% in 26% 1 year ago. Let's see. Mortgage rates. According to Freddie Mac, 30-year fixed mortgage rate averaged 6.49% as of August 15th. Okay. That's up from 6.47% 1 week ago, but down from 7% a year ago. Okay. Single family and condo. I hate co-ops. You know what? I like this morning I was thinking I have a most hated word now. What is my most hated word? Right? My most hated word is cooperative. I hate the word cooperative. I hate it. Hate it with a passion. I despise the word cooperative. All right. So I'm just letting you know I despise it.
Bruh.
All right. Let's see. So single family homes grew 1.4% to a seasonally adjusted annual rate of 3.57 million in July, down 1.4% from the previous year. The median existing single family home price was 428,500 in July, up 4.2 from July 2023. So homes are getting more expensive. And you got to think with these interest rates, like although they're going down a little bit, right? But with these interest rates, they are like the mortgage insurance, the home insurance, the taxes, all those like you're paying like you might be paying an extra 14 to 20 like $15,000 to $20,000 a year on your home when you combine the mortgage interest rate, the PMI, the homeowner's insurance, and the what's the last thing, and the taxes, the property taxes, right? And that's not even, so I'm not even including the interest, all of that on its own, and then the interest at 7% that you're paying, plus the sorry, my lighting, plus like the principal on the property, right? So it's serious. Let me see. Anything else? Existing home sales in the Northeast climbed 4.3%. Let me see. Midwest was the same. South increased 1.1%. And the West rose 1.4%. All right, cool. So that is that. Let's go to full screen. All right, let's see. So let me check the chat, see what we got going on, and then we'll get to our next one. Let's see. So, Mitch says that I'm really about to wake the beast. Which beast, Mitch? Which beast, Mitch? Let me know. Let me know what you're talking about, right? And it says, "Hey, yo, Pods, I'm not winking at another grown man." Okay, I got you. And your car is like, I'll drop the wink emoji. I got no problem. And your car rightfully points out, but, right? But is let's put up. You want us to call you daddy. Make that make sense. Make that make sense. All right. It's just a little weird. Just a little bit weird, you know? Just a little bit weird. Robert says, yes, make it make sense to me. Alexis is like, I don't know. I'm just here working on APIs and stuff. I don't know what these guys are doing. It says, let's be real. Most people are not doing 20. They doing 3 to 5. Let me see. So Mitch says, me too. If I even refinance, I would be sick. This mainly only works if your interest is 7.2 or higher to 8 to 10%. 8 to 10% on interest. My goodness. And Peter says there is a correlation between the mortgage rate and the bond yield curve. See, now I got to look up what the bond yield curve is as well. Let me just add that to my list to add to the Urban Dictionary of Economic Data. Bond yield curve. All right, I got that on my list of stuff to investigate. No time to investigate it today, but definitely probably next week we'll talk about that a little bit more. And Peter Investor says people take a fixed rate on their mortgage because future mortgages rates tend to go higher. That's true. Like, but I do remember I had a friend, right? He had taken the adjustable rate, and he had it at like, and this is like probably 20 maybe about 20 years ago, maybe. So he had bought his place, and he had like a higher interest rate, right? But then 2008 happened. But being that like the type of work that he does, like he pretty much he was a car person, almost like me Mystify, right? So like hooking up cars, systems, alarms, all that. He was a genius, right? But being that like the interest rates dropped like all crazy and stuff, when the adjustment came to his interest rate, it dropped significantly. So he actually ended up benefiting, but I would not recommend taking that risk. That's a major gamble. And mentioned balloons are horrible. I must be missing something because I don't know what we're talking about balloons. But you know, let me. What is that in reference to, Mitch? What is that in reference to? Let me know. So, just let's go to how much we got. 18 minutes. All right. Let's see what else we got. All right, let me highlight that. So this is done. Let's take a look at the Census Bureau, and then about the new housing indicators, and then we'll go to watch this video. Let's see. Mitch says, but again, years ago, who taught you this stuff? Your people was just happy to have a mortgage. That's true. That is true. Shout out to Mitch. And he says, adjustable mortgage. It is like, it's like, that's the only person that I ever heard ended up benefiting from it. But yeah, that is kind of risky. That is definitely kind of risky. That is risky. Let's see. Let's go to our last one for today. Our last thing to review, but then we're going to also watch this video. Not fully last, right? So by last, I mean like almost last, you know? Look. All right, look. Pardon me when I quote unquote misspeak, right? I misspoke, okay? Jeez, the nerve. All right, so let's take a look at this. All right, so new residential sales. Let's see the latest report. All right, so why did I make this so small? Oh, okay, make it big. Let's go to zoom out a little bit. So new homes sold 739,000. New houses for sale 462,000. Median price 429,000. Next release September 25th, 2024. All right, so let's go and look at this. Let me see what we're looking at. So sales of new single-family homes in July 2024 were seeing the adjusted annual rate of 739,000, according to estimates released jointly today by the U.S. Census Bureau and the Department of Housing and Urban Development (HUD). This is 10.6% above the revised June rate of 668,000 and is 5.6% above July 2023 estimate of 700,000. Let me see. These median sales of new houses sold in July for 429,000. The average sales price was 514,800. So remember, median means at the middle. So let's say you have 100 houses sold. The fifth from the lowest to the greatest. What falls at 50 is going to be your median. And then the average is like when you take all the prices together and you divide it by 100, you would have an average of 500. So you can have like the first 49 sold for $1. You can have the last, you can have 51 through 100 sold for $1 billion, and then you have the median can still be like $100,000, right? But then when you do the average, then that's when you end up with this number here. Then that's why it's higher than the median. The seasonally adjusted estimate for new houses for sale at the end of July was 462,000. That represents a 7.5 month supply at the current sales rate. So what that also means is that in about 4 years, we might see this at like 3 million. We might see it at 3 million. All right. So just keep that in mind. And we might see these prices, whatever you see here, right? Just add $25,000 to it. And that's what you'll see in about 4 years. In about 4 years, you will see that. All right. Okay, so let's see what else we got. Let me check the chat and then we will watch this video together. So let's see. Okay, all right. So the balloon adjustable was the ARM mortgages, right? It says shout out to Mitch, even though he can get these hands. What? We have more hands in the building. We have more hands. Mitch says lie detector determines you must be on that stuff. Oh my goodness. It says nah, it's just a pre-workout talking. Don't get me started. We might have to end the show with the hands today, right? We might, because it looks like people want to catch these hands, right? So Peter Investor says housing data are typically lagging indicators, meaning it takes at more than 6 months to feel the effect in pricing unless there is a black swan event. All right, gotcha. And let's see. So I gotta liven up the chat. Shout out to Mitch and Rod Brown. We got Mitch and Tech Daddy, who will not wink at another grown man, but he wants us to call him Tech Daddy, but shout out to them. And it says, Ralph thinks I'm dumb. I would never say such a thing. Aww. All right. So let's do this. Let me see what we got. There's some other stuff that I want to talk about, but we can push those to next week. But let's talk about this. Let's talk about this. So I'm gonna go to, and we're gonna go to. I'll just put this up while I'm doing let me go over to let me change this. Oops, that's not what I want to do. Bear with me for just a second as I get this lined up for us. There we go. So we are going to end the show by watching Mitch's favorite senator in the whole wide world. All right. Okay, so we're gonna do this. We are going to, and I just want to put this up here before we go on. It says, "See, I don't think you're dumb, Mitch. It's the bot. It's the AI clone who thinks that. I don't know why he would think such a thing. It's not like I did not have him, watch all of the YouTube videos and learn who you are. So I don't know why he would think that, but it is what it is. It is what it is. All right, so let's get to this video, and then we are going to wrap it up for today, because today's going to be a very, very busy day. All right, today's a very busy day. So let's, and we're going to watch this video. It was, I'm not familiar with this guy. I think his name is Joe Kern or Kern, something like that. But it was pretty interesting. So let's watch.
The Harris campaign has yet to give specifics on the vice president's plan to ban price gouging or actually put on some price controls, basically. But our next guest worked with Harris on an anti-price gouging bill in 2020 during the pandemic. A similar bill was reintroduced in the Senate earlier this year. Joining us now, Massachusetts Democratic Senator Elizabeth Warren. Senator, you're famous from last night. Oh, you're already famous, but you're even more famous from last night. Kind of a pretty nice moment for you, I have to say.
Well, it was a moment for me about democracy. Why all these people had shown up because
So this is how we're going to start off this video, right? They just start off gaslighting, talking about democracy. 0 primaries, 0 votes, but democracy. All right, cool. We got it. So now I know where this is going. All right, cool. Let's go.
They want to be in the fight. And they want to be in the fight because they want to see an America where
endless lawsuits to keep people off of ballots in states. But we're talking about democracy. All right, I got you. So this is where we're going. We got Miss Freckles in the building. Uh-oh. You know, I'm with you. Let's get to it. Yeah, we're gonna see your car like this. I don't know if you've seen this already, your car, but it was pretty awesome. It was pretty awesome, right?
they can afford to pay for their prescription drugs. They want to see an America where their kids can afford to go to college without getting crushed by student loan debt. They want to see an America where we're going to strengthen Social Security, not, as Donald Trump did, propose 4 budgets in a row that cut it. So I saw this as a room full of volunteers who are in the fight all the way.
Senator,
and I love that.
I actually wish, Donald Trump would consider doing something to entitlements or stuff, but I don't think that's really the case. Senator, the price gouging.
You know, but
here's what the Washington.
Let's remember he did try. 4 times in a row.
I wish he would to actually, maybe move it out to 70 or 75, because something's got to be done, because it's going to be untenable the way it is. Look at the Washington Post, and if you lose the Washington Post as a Democrat, you got some serious problems. This is what they said about the price gouging or the price control legislation. It was really pilloried from both sides of the aisle. Even Jason Furman, I don't know if you saw some of his comments. He said it's not good policy, and it could actually do more harm than good. And I can paint you a picture of how that would work and how it's worked in the past, where we've tried to artificially hold prices down. Competition doesn't come in. People don't, like, if beef is too high, people don't move the chicken. The competitors don't come in to undercut where the beef prices are. Nothing works when you try to artificially control prices. It's just a supply and demand issue. It's a flawed idea.
So did you have?
So I see, so I'm just going to warn everyone now, right? Just breathe. Woosah, right? Before I press play, woosah, right? Woosah, right? And before I press play, let me just acknowledge. Ms. Freckles says, salute to you as well. I'm late showing up. No, you are never late. You are always on time, right? Whose song was that? Was that Ja Rule and Ashanti? Always on time. All right, never late. I appreciate you for being here.
I appreciate you.
All right, we're not even gonna address Mitch. All right, so let's all right. Just remember, I gave you the disclaimer. Clutch your pearls. Get ready for this.
Question here.
Yes. Why would you propose a flawed idea when the real problem?
So let me
if you
ask
really
the
want to
question.
help the middle class, if you really sincerely want to help people having trouble at the grocery store, it's not price gouging that's the issue. And if you look at it seriously.
All right, I just gotta say that was an amazing question. That was an amazing question that he had. It's like after he gave her that lecture, he's like, "Why would you propose a flawed idea?" All right, let's play that.
Demand issue. It's a flawed idea.
So did you have a question here?
Yes. Why would you propose a flawed idea when the real problem?
So let me
if you
ask
really
the
want to help
question.
the middle class, if you really sincerely want to help people having trouble at the grocery store, it's not price gouging that's the issue. And if you look at it seriously and really want to help them, then let's do something about it together. Fine.
I understand if you want to do a lecture about this, but let's just start with where have you been for the last 30 years as 36 states have price gouging laws, and they have used them effectively. States like Texas and Florida, they've used price gouging laws. Price gouging laws are not price control. Price gouging laws are to say, sometimes markets go off the rails, and when they do, we need some ways to get them back on the rails. We need some curbs on that behavior. So, for example, we watched in the pandemic.
So she says that there are price gouging laws in different states. Doesn't make them right. And here's the thing with quote unquote price gouging, right? The way the alternative is to just limit how much people can buy, right? So it's pretty much saying that your money is no good here. So at the end of the day, they're still going to end up making the same amount of money, because let's say there's water that you are selling. Let's say a case of water, like I said last time, right? $3.99. And there's some type of major issue that's happening, right? So now they can increase the prices to $10.99, where now you buy one because it's more expensive, or they keep it at $3.99 and they say you can only buy one. So it's just, I don't know. To me, like I have to listen to it again, Basic Economics by Thomas Sowell, but that's where I learned it from, like about price gouging. And I don't know, prices go up when there's supply and demand. Same thing with gas. When there's like a because I would see, and it's just how you're gonna limit it. Are you gonna put on the business to limit how much people can buy, or are they going to raise the prices so that there can be enough to go around? Because with gas, I would see people like they would show up and they would have like all these containers of gas. They would have they would fill up their car. They would have like, they'll be back to back, and they would have a bunch of like these gas things to like, so that when the hurricane happens, they have gas for days. And now the gas station runs out of gas, and now other people don't have gas. So when they put the price up, when they quote unquote price gauge, right? When they price gauge, it limits how much, it limits your buying power. Either you do it naturally through prices, or you do it artificially to putting limits, to putting controls, which price control, same thing on how much you can actually buy.
How prices went up for a whole lot of reasons.
And that's how they manage, like, quote unquote price gouging in Florida is, all right, so we can't raise the prices, so we're just going to limit how many people can buy, because we're not going to keep our prices at $3.99. And now one person comes and buys everything, and now this one person goes out there and now they're selling it on quote unquote the black market, because they wipe out the store and say, okay, well, now that BJ's or Costco or whatever doesn't have any water, you want some water, come get it from me. And they're not an actual quote unquote business in order to be able to price gouge. Like, whatever
reasons. They went up partly because we had supply chain kinks. We had problems because of the war in Ukraine that cut supplies of certain commodities. And one of the things that happened as a result of that is there were corporations that said, whoa, now that we have inflation, now that prices are up overall, this is a great opportunity for us to raise prices, not just in passing along costs, but to go way, way, way above that. And how do we?
I want to know who. Tell me, like, when you say, see, and this is what I hate. And this is like the name names, right? Who? Tell me the name of the corporation who did it, because there were a corporation that did it. Who? Tell me who.
We know that it was way, way above just passing along costs. Look at what happened to their profit margins. If they'd just been passing along costs, profit margins would have stayed about the same. But for some industries, some companies, profit margins shot up. And do you know where they shot up most often? It was in companies or in industries where there was a lot of concentration, a lot of market power, places where the market is not functioning competitively. So you end up with someone, you remember we all talked about egg prices. You end up with something like this giant egg producer, Cal-Maine. And Cal-Maine raises the price of eggs. Their profit margins increased by 718%. That's not just passing along costs.
Senator,
and that is a time
that's sophistry. Your example on Kraft. Your example on Kraft is even worse.
You finished first. In any of the states around the country that already have price gouging laws in place.
Can I tell you why that those are fallacious and misleading at best? And your Kraft analogy is even. Why can't I tell you? Please let me tell you. Kraft, you say, was 440% profit increase. The example you used, the prior quarter from the year before, they had a charge of $1.3 billion, an accounting change which wiped out profits. Then they earned what they normally. Let me finish now. They earned.
You didn't let me finish. Look at the data. Come on. We have economic study now after economic study.
This is the way it always goes.
When there is more concentration.
40 million eggs were destroyed because of avian.
Concentration in an industry, we have seen much greater increases in.
Do you attribute the inflation?
Margins.
That's what you think we need to do to solve it?
They're not random. They are not random one-offs. It is part of the problem when you've got companies that are gouging consumers on prices. Consumers need to know they've got somebody on their side.
Senator,
and
listen, we're trying to help. We're trying to actually do.
Where are you in the 37 states that currently have price gouging laws?
Just quickly on that point, Senator Warren, this is Kelly here. Can I just clarify how this would work?
This is the way you never lose an argument, because no one can ever say anything back to you, Senator.
The state price gouging laws.
Oh, man, she caught those hats. She caught those hats from this guy. She caught those hats. Oh my goodness. Let's finish this video off, right?
They look at it when a state of emergency is declared, and they, for the most part, say if your prices go up 10 or 15% compared to before that state of emergency, you have to pay a fine. So on a national level, how exactly would this work? Would you define the state of emergency? Does it have to be declared on a national level? Are you then talking about a 10 or 15% increase in prices versus prior to that declaration, and then companies have to pay a fine? Okay, fine. Maybe that applies in 1% of the situations, but this legislation, which is still vague, is making it sound like something on the scale of broad price controls would be imposed, broadly speaking. So which of the two systems is it?
So it is not price controls. This is about when the market itself is not functioning. Sometimes markets don't function because there's been a localized emergency, a hurricane, a wildfire, flooding. And so in states that have these price gouging laws, they can come in and say, look, you can do some price increases, but if you're going above a certain level, you have to be able to justify it. You have to show that what you're doing is passing along costs.
Would it be company by company?
Perfectly reasonable thing to do.
Senator Elizabeth Warren, everybody. Senator Elizabeth Warren. All right. So we're gonna end the show. Let me go through the chat. And so a big shout out to Miss Freckles. Shout out to Miss Freckles.
I appreciate you.
And she said $5 tardy jar contribution. Ooh, I mean, look. You do not want your car to be your hall monitor. You don't want him to be your teacher, because you will he'll come after you. He will come after you. But thank you so much, Miss Freckles.
We the best.
All right. Let's wrap up the chat today. Let's see what we got. Let me go here. We're at. So let's see. All right, let me see. Let's see what else do we got. Where? All right. So Peter Investor said there is no liquidity left in Social Security funds. I've heard that, and it looks like Miss Freckles figured it out. So shout out to Miss Freckles. Let's see. Mitch says.
I hate it here. I want to go home.
But yeah, he was like, why are you proposing something that doesn't work? Peter Investor said, not only Social Security funds are generated from tax revenue, you taxed on it because it's used as income by seniors. And is it true that, I guess it is true that when you pay into it, you're taxed. And then when you get it out, like when you turn however the age is and you get it out, they also tax you on that too? Let's see. What else we got? Double tax. That's what your car is talking about. Double tax. And we didn't even get into this, but did you guys see? I have to find the list. But did you guys see? Like, they're looking to tax you on unearned capital gains. Unearned capital gains. So on capital gains and unearned capital gains. So I forgot what I was listening to, but there was like, if you were to somehow, like, let's say you made $1 million, right, through whatever methods and stuff like that, investments and stuff, stocks, that you could actually walk away with only 20% of it. That's crazy. It says, because remember, like in California, aren't they taxed like 55%? Like if you're in a certain, like if you're like, if you make over $400,000 a year or something like that, you're taxed at like 55%. It says, if my mortgage is $1,000, but I rent it out for $3,500, what is that called? These people sound smart. to people with no cent. If your mortgage is 1,000 but you rent it out for 3,500, what is that called? I call that smart. I call that a genius. Like, what? What do you call that, bitch? Do you call that smart? I call that smart. I call that genius. I call that a genius. If you can get that, Mitch, I call that genius. Let's see. So Peter Investor says, this is why I favor the use of a sovereign wealth fund such as Norway Oil Fund to fund Social Security funds. Interesting. I have no idea what that is, but that sounds interesting. See, Peter Investor got me writing down something else. All right, so let me see. Sovereign wealth fund. All right. I got like 4 tabs now for different stuff that Peter Investor had said. All right, I got you. We're going to go over it. We are going to go over it, adding it to my list of things. Let's see what else we got. Your car says, that's the Native American lady. Yes, she is Native American, right? She is from America. So she's quote unquote Native American. So, all right, cool. We got you. All right. Let's see what else we got. Which says, sounds like me and Ralph and your car, the moderator. Let's see. Fight. All right. Let's see. It says, Ralph, you a hater too. What did I do? I want to know though. I'm very curious, Mitch, about, I'm going to start because I want to come back to that because I want to know, what do you call if you have a mortgage 1,000 and you rent it out for 3,500? I really want to know what you call that because I call that being a genius. Let me see if you can get it. You know, let's see. What you got here? Your car says, I ran my student council. I believe that. It says, we have a swear jar too. Oh my God. Unrealized. Yep. I didn't even realize I made this money, but I have to pay on it. Imagine that. It says, you see your car, Ralph has a nice side, but he too mean if I'm not around. Unrealized gain. They're doing that. They are doing it with crypto. That is crazy. Like, because the thing I don't understand, if the value fluctuates, right? How can you be taxed on that if you're not taking it out? If it's not realized, it's like all right. For me, at least, correct me if I'm wrong, right? Unrealized capital gains. If you have a dream and you do some type of crime in your dream, it's like you're getting charged for it in real life. You know, the prosecutor is going to show up at your door, knock, knock, knock. Hey, we're monitoring your dreams and we saw that you committed this crime in your dreams. We're going to charge it to you in real life. Like, what? Like, that's what I understand for unrealized capital gains. Let's see. Extremely intelligent. Let me see. In reference to the price talk, price gauging, make sure you get it right. It says, Spicy Ferris is a sovereign citizen. Says, I would have been we know. I still, you see, let me see. What? Extremely intelligent. Okay, so this is to Mitch's question. Extremely intelligent, right? That's what I would think. If my mortgage is 1,000, but I rent it out for 3,500, what is that called? And I think this is to Mitch's question. Extremely. I think it's extremely. I think that's a genius, right? But guess what? It's only if you can. So. Let me add to your question, Mitch. We gotta get out of here, but let me add to your question, Mitch. What if you bought this property a long time ago, right? Let's say you bought this property when it was in like 2010-ish, right? Let's say you bought it in like 2010 for less than $100,000. You fix it up and everything like that, and and you bought it for and now today, like all the properties in your area, they're renting for about the same thing. Are you telling me you would not put it for 3,500. Mitch, I need an answer. I can't leave without an answer, Mitch. What do you call it? Right? I'm with Miss Freckles here. With Miss Freckles, actually, I call it extremely intelligent. I call it extremely intelligent. If that's what she's referring to, but that's what I'm referring. I think it's genius. All right, so let's go to let me see. So Alexis says, I'm genuinely curious, what's the solution to price to price gouging? Where does it stop? Purchasing groceries is not a luxury. But I'm from the perspective of that price gouging does not exist. I don't think it exists. Why don't I think it exists? Because if let's say purchasing groceries, right? If you go to Walmart to get something and it's super expensive, just don't buy it at Walmart. If all the stores have it for an elevated price, then there's something that's causing the price to be elevated. Because if Target has it for $3.50 and Walmart has it for $3.50, what gives you the incentive to buy it from one or the other? If they're competing with one another, they're going to be fighting to have lower prices. Every single day you go shopping, you're looking for, where can I get the best price? You're telling me, like, and why do companies have price match, right? You can be at Walmart and you see a better price on Amazon and you show them, hey, I see this at a better price at Amazon. They're going to match the price lower because they want your business. So that's why I don't honestly believe that price gouging actually exists. I think it is a way for the government to infringe on different companies. Now, if you have a monopoly on something, then you can raise the price because that's the only thing that exists. But there's not a monopoly. There's Walmart, there's Publix with their hard bread on their subs. All the people said I would take the chance of cutting my tongue on the hard bread, but that's to each their own. But yeah, so that's why I don't personally think that price gouging is a real thing because it's at the end of the day, it's competition. It's competition, right? We have to compete. All right. So your card says, my policy was either pay the jar or the door of jars. You will say that's trash. I know. One meeting was over $50 in the jar because everyone wanted to curse. I call it fundraising. Oh, look at that. You see? That is absolutely genius. So it's like unlimited cursing, right? Unlimited cursing. You pay the fee at the door and you can say whatever you want. I like it. That's a good plan. That's a good plan. I like it, Yakar. We might have to implement it here. Yakar says, gouging people. Stop saying no. Yakar, I totally disagree with you. I totally disagree. If the leader of the free world or the potential leader of the free world, second in command can say price gauging, then that gives us free reign to say price gauging. All right, Yakar? I'm just saying. Come on, Yakar. Don't do that to us. Don't do that to us, Yakar. Says gauging is when you don't have enough, so you have to put something back or buy off brand. Buying the stuff instead of buying Cheerios or whatever, like Cinnamon Toast Crunch, you buy the one in the bag all the way to the bottom, and that's the one I buy. I'm just saying. Don't let them bully you, Alexis. Don't let them bully you. If the potential president can say gauging, then we can say gauging. All right, we can say it too. All right, come on. I'm being like, come on, for the people. All right, gouging is when you overcharge, which I don't believe there's overcharging. I'm just saying. Oh my god. It says don't all right. So it's say it 3 times and you get it. We are gonna have to catch these hands, right? We're gonna catch these hands. So brace yourself, Miss Freckles and Alexis, because we're about to catch these hands. Oh, I gotta dodging and weaving over here. We dodging and weaving. Oh, you gotta be careful not to catch those hands, Oh my goodness. Hey, your car, I got you, your car. We almost caught them hands. Had to dodge and weave, Had to dodge and weave. Started the gauging air. She wants to be your president. Your car. I think you have to contribute to the swear jar. Your car. I'm just saying. All right. Let's see. It says, Ralph is the Kool-Aid. I'm the sugar. You are the water. Okay, I got you. And Miss Freckles says, self-control is what it all boils down to. That's a fact. And I mean, like, it's just budging. Like, all right, this is too expensive. Then I'm gonna go and buy something else. You know, like when I remember when the price of eggs were like really, really expensive, I'm like, all right, we're just not gonna eat eggs right now. Like, simple as that. Like, I just won't eat it right now. Let's see. So Peter Investor says to control price gouging, you must control other variables that goes into properly pricing the product: raw material costs, cost of production, overhead costs, energy costs. But like, when it comes to business, right? Why would, all right, so let's say your car has a business, right? And I have a business. And we sell the same thing, right? I'm going to do everything possible to sell it for cheaper than your car. See, the real price gouging comes when it comes to the monopolies. Like, see, and I'm going to say Comcast, for instance, is somewhat of a monopoly, or Xfinity. FPL down here in South Florida, you know, Florida Power and Light, they're the only company you can get power from. So you have no choice. But when it comes to gas, I can go to BJ's Gas, I can go to Costco Gas, I can go to Chevron, I can go to Mobil. So many different choices. And what I would be looking to do is making my price lower than your price. So that's why I'm like, I don't really see this price gouging thing as a thing, you know? Let's see. Fruity O's go exactly. Look at baby. Oh my goodness. Let's see what else we got. The eggs I buy are still $8. That's still Are you buying the eggs that are like the yolk is like super yellow? Let me see. All right, I think that's it. It's time for us to go. It is time for us to go. I want to say a big thank you to everybody who showed up today, and especially, you know, like, I appreciate you all, right? All the likes, all the people who tuned in, all the super chats, of course, Peter Investor, Miss Freckles, appreciate you guys so much. However, the number one thank you goes to that one person. Because, you know, I be petty. Ask Alexis. I can be very, very petty, right? The number one person who gave us that dislike today. Shout out to you and that dislike. I hope you subscribed as well, though. I hope you subscribed as well. All right.
I appreciate it.
Thank you so much. And Miss Freckles says, my eggs are $4 and they have been overpriced. Brown eggs only. And your card says, in the gold card. I know which one you're talking about. I know which one you're talking about. Appreciate it. And replay gang, let's go. Let's get it. All right. So as we wrap it up, I have a question for you today. This morning, the question is,
Are you not entertained? Are you not entertained? Is this not why you are here?
I am very well interested. And you know, I'm just going to add to this. I'm just going to add to this real quick to the $4 and it's still overpriced. Guess what? I think that no matter what it is, I will always think something is overpriced. And I think you should as well, because we should always be looking for the best possible price, right? Because like, I'll tell you this, even if you were paying $1 for it, I would still say it's overpriced, because the market dictates, right? The market dictates. Always look for the best price. Look for the product that you want at the best possible price, and that for me, that's how it is, right? Competition. I believe in competition wholeheartedly. I don't like when people get in the way of competition, right? It's like, why are there referees? Why are there even referees, right? I digress. Let's see. So Peter Investor says, the main place to shop retail places like Walmart or valuable brands like luxury departments or stores. And let's see. And of course, lastly, this is the money show. Like we're wrapping it up with, you guys know, yesterday's price is not today's price, and today's price is not tomorrow's price, because we might have price controls to prevent the artificial price gauging or gouging or whatever. And Peter Investor says, the key question is price versus value. Is it worth it to you? If it is worth it, then there's not a price you can put on it. If it's not worth it, then you don't buy it. Simple as that. And now when nobody's buying it, they're forcing the prices to go down. That's how the housing market works, right? And hands down, bargain shopping makes me feel like I'm cheating. And I love it. That is awesome. I love it. All right. So, like I said, today's price is not tomorrow's price. Or yesterday's price is not today's price. Today's price is not tomorrow's price. Price control is coming to a theater near you or a grocery shop near you.
One more thing. Price of the brick going up.
The price of the brick is always going up. And on that note, friends, family, I will see you guys tomorrow live. We're going to be doing our coding, our DevOps, all that good stuff. You guys have a wonderful, wonderful Saturday afternoon. We are out.
You might think that getting into the IT field is impossible without a computer science degree, but Tech Coach Ralph is here to prove you wrong. Get ready for some jaw-dropping revelations on how to break into this lucrative industry. Listen up, tech enthusiasts! Are you ready to break through into the IT field, but feel like you need a computer science degree to make it happen? Think again! Tech Coach Ralph has some exclusive, mind-blowing secrets to share with you. Get ready to be blown away by his jaw-dropping revelations on how to break into the tech industry without a computer science degree. So get your notepad ready, because Tech Coach Ralph is going to change your life forever. Buckle up, because you're about to embark on a journey to success in the IT field.